Okay, everyone, this is Momentum Global Leaders coming back to you for another episode. We're learning a lot. We just started launching our podcast and we really had no plan at all. So you get to see us struggle and fail in real time. Today I'm here with Orest and I'm Thomas. If you don't know us, we're both business consultants and we're living in Southeast Asia. And our mission is to help founders to scale their businesses from $5,000 a month up to $50,000 a month and more. And today we're going to be talking about several topics that are of interest. We're going to be talking about the stock market and what's happening because of its crazy ups and downs. We're going to be talking about productivity and real business building techniques. We're going to be talking about how to be authentic versus what internet gurus are putting out online. And we're going to be finishing up with the global and cultural landscape and what that means for you doing business no matter where you're living. So stick around to the end. Thank you for joining me, Orest. How is your day?
Yeah.
How was your day? What did you do today? Did you wear pants?
I went to the beach. No, at the beach, no, I didn't. So we went to the beach. We had we had a nice meal, a nice breakfast. I didn't fast today. Yes, of course. But yeah, it was cool. Then I worked.
For those of you that don't know, Orest is a big fan of yerba mate. He loves that stuff. I think he's planning on starting a new religion and opening some sort of temple. But that's for another podcast. We'll touch on that in the future. Well, I had a good day too. Life is really great here in Paradise. It's not actually paradise. It's just hot as balls outside. And in the pictures and everything, it looks great because there's a lot of light because the sun is so close. But here we are privileged because we have a low cost of living. It's been a great environment here in Thailand to be able to get away from conflict, to get away from the crazy volatile markets, to save a little bit of money and figure things out. And we've had access to a lot of really great people that we've met, and we've learned a lot of lessons through failures. So let's get right underway. Start with the stock markets. Orest, what do you think? How are we going to build a business that is going to thrive in this time when stocks are falling and we're down 30%?
Don't take my advice as an advice, but first of all, I'm gonna buy that dip. Yeah, that's how. Actually, sorry, off topic. That's how I 20 timed my $700 Bitcoin investment 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
No, even more. Actually, so I invested like around $1,000, and I got around I got around 18,000. I was just buying by luck, pure luck. Don't try to guesstimate Bitcoin, but just by pure luck, I was just buying those dips and selling them. Last time I sold when it was 68.
Nice.
1,000. But I don't think we can give a lot of advice after a few days of this crash. Because is it actual crisis? We cannot say because it was like 4 days. I think we need to wait a little bit. And I think we need to wait for what other countries will do. Will China and other biggest exporters, will they change? Yeah, will they approach, or they will just leave everything as is and allow states to suffer their maybe not that wise decision?
All of this is just our opinion, and of course Orest and I are very neutral when it comes to politics because it's a very diverse subject, divisive, and
it's a new word. Let's write it down. Diverse.
We don't take sides because it just ends up hurting people, relationships, and also anything we talk about here is not financial advice or real advice because it's just an opinion. But it's good to be aware even when you are neutral and to have some sort of an idea of what might happen. So I don't think there's anything wrong with sharing those ideas. And that's a great question. If we are just now in a crash, right? Do you buy the dip right away, or do you wait a little while and see if it's going to rebound? Because of course there could be more of a hole in the floor and we could just keep going down. I think that it's always a good idea if it's based on the severity of the news, right? So if the news is like apocalyptic, then maybe it's a great time to buy. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. So let's just go. Oh, I love this abstract art at the background. Sorry, my bad. I'm getting distracted. Anyways, so I love the advice that gave me my Bitcoin guru. He said you only invest amount that you are willing to lose. So for me, it's 15% of all of my money. I'm okay with them just disappearing tomorrow. If tomorrow all my Bitcoin crash, I don't care. So in this case, just like if it's 15% for me, if it's something that you're not afraid to lose, I would, I don't know, split in a half, buy right now, wait for a little bit, then buy again. If
That's
it
a
went
good
back,
strategy.
just don't buy.
Dollar cost averaging, right? Investing small amounts at intervals to try to offset the risk. That's a great strategy. Hey, Felipe, welcome. We missed you.
He left.
All right. So
Was
anyway,
my advice that bad? He just like, no, these guys have no idea what I'm talking about. Thank you. Bye bye.
so with dollar cost averaging, that's where you buy a little bit at a time so that you can kind of diversify your risk throughout different periods of volatility. So that's a great strategy as well. So then you can reap maybe some bigger gains on a smaller amount now, and then if there's a time period in the future when you buy in but it's higher up, then maybe you don't make as much on the climb, but you're gonna have avoided, maybe if it's flipped, you might lose a lot and then it keeps going down, and then you buy at an even lower price, and then you'll get more gains. So that will help you offset the risk. And that's really a great topic about the stocks right now. Is it really should all be about, like, if you're building a business in this volatile market, we should be trying to reduce risks. And I think that comes from like understanding what's happening in the big picture. So if you're like not knowing what's happening in the big picture, how can you survive? If you're in a big storm in a boat and you don't know how long it's going to last, or at least you don't have any idea, you haven't looked at the weather report, how do you know how to prepare?
Yeah.
Right? So that's what's really important. And what we've learned over the years, and especially lately, is that we really can't trust the media. It's definitely being influenced by stuff behind the scenes, agendas, whether that's just the attention span of the listeners, the viewers, the readers, or if that's maybe some larger players that are lobbying or paying money to people to get those stories made so that they can influence the markets. So how are you doing your analysis of the situation, Oris? What do you think?
So I'm young, so I don't remember how 2008, of course 2001, Ukraine, it was just overall bad time. So if it gets a little bit worse, when it's very bad, no one just can notice that. But 2008 and the COVID and now, I actually, to be honest, I didn't really feel a drastic impact on my life in terms of me being able to make money. I can just work a little bit more and save up more money and buy less dumb stuff and live kind of okay. That's what I mean.
I agree. So yeah, I mean, those are great strategies, is reducing risk by limiting your exposure and saving money. But that's the problem. Like a lot of people in this bad economy start holding and hoarding on their cash. And as we know, if you read Ray Dalio's principles, like one man's spending is another man's income. So, what's really happening in the economy is you've got Trump doing these crazy tariffs, which we'll talk about in more detail later. And that's going to put a lot of pressure on these companies in America, outside of America. Wow. Things that were like, 50% less yesterday are now 50% more. So who's going to pay for that? Are we going to absorb the cost of our products, or are we going to push that price onto our customers? So that money, basically makes everything go to a grinding halt. And then, of course, you got to think about the conversations that are going on at these companies right now. It's like, is there a way we can make it cheaper, like the way we made it before? What can we switch to a new country? What if there's a new factory in a new country that has better tariffs? Maybe we can buy from Colombia because the tariffs there are only 10%. Okay, go to Colombia right now and see if there's a factory that can do our design at our quality standards. Run, right? So it's like a crazy dash. And then amidst all this, wise investors are paying attention, so they know that these things are happening, and so they're like, you know what, I'm not going to keep my money in that company. So that's why all this money is coming out of the stock market, and then the equity of the company is going down. So the shareholders inside the company are getting nervous because it's like, oh my God, the company's losing a lot of cash. The CEOs are nervous because they're losing a lot of their cash equivalents, and then the companies are now spending less money. So they're saying, okay, let's fire a bunch of people. So people are getting fired, and then it's just a huge, feedback loop, because it's like people don't have jobs now, so they're saving more money, they're not spending as much, then companies are not making as much. The cycle just keeps going and snowballing. So it's really out of control. But we're going to talk about later on in the podcast more about this and what solutions might be on the horizon, and also why this actually might be a good thing. In our context, let's bring it back to starting and running a successful business in this environment. What do you think we should do?
So in time of turmoil, yeah. Mm-hmm. So no, not in time of turmoil. Anytime, anything. You don't need money per se as a thing. you need power. Let me explain. It just sounds weird, not like, oh, I need a power. No. So the power can be exchanged for money. But if you have a lot of cash, it doesn't mean that you actually have power. And power goes with, I believe, with flexibility. So if you are flexible, no, not flexibility. Power comes with adjustability. So the company that I create funnel and website and brand and stuff for them, it's a Chinese factory. They saw the tariffs and they moved their they opened the branch in Thailand immediately. And now they're rushing to finish the website because they want to promote, because they understand that American customers will not go to buy from China. They will buy the same thing from Thailand, which is basically Chinese production, Chinese factory. So if they are adaptable enough to avoid this issue, they have leverage, they have power. So for us, when we start a business, and now, a lot of my clients, they are from China. But now, maybe just my idea, maybe I can consult them on how to do the same thing with what my Chinese Thai client just did. So I'm trying to be flexible.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So we can learn things from other businesses and how they're reacting, especially this manufacturing company obviously is well established. So that's a great way. See what the big players are doing and then maybe copy that. Another thing that I like is you talk a lot about shovels. Can you share that theory of yours for people to learn?
Yeah, like how do you make money during hysteria or like gold rush? You don't make money. So it is actually possible to make money during the gold rush, only if you are already skilled like a developer. You call them a developer, yeah?
Prospector, like something like that, like searching.
Prospector, yeah,
for gold?
Searching for the gold. Yes. So the people that were good in gold digging in Africa, they went to. Sorry, no, you don't do that. No, they went from Africa or from Russia to States, and they were successful. But the most successful person that was making money, the most amounts of money, was just selling the dream. Basically selling those shovels. So that's the person who made the most amount of money. That's the company.
So when there's a crisis or when there's a rush, what is your advice?
You don't make money using AI. You make money helping people to use AI.
Right.
For example.
So you make shovels and you sell shovels.
Which is AI product or AI service or AI consulting.
Cool. So that segues us into AI. So how do we build a good business? Okay, let's pause on the AI for a second. I think that this concept of looking at the market in a different lens is what you need to do, right? You basically need to give up on whatever your plans were before because they're done. All the variables have changed. So just throw your plans in the garbage and then look at the market with fresh eyes and see how the equation has changed. Where there was opportunity, it's crushed. Now there's this whole area based on what I'm seeing now is based on fear and greed, right? You've got all these people who were making great money. The economy was doing pretty great. And now they want to keep riding that train. So they're looking for the next vehicle of investment. So that's the big opportunity, right? It's not in the things that we've done in the last 5 years or so. Look at the market and be like, okay, so who's experiencing the most pain and how can I help them experience less pain? That's basically it. And that's where you build your shovel and you hand them your shovel and you say to them like, hey, listen, I'm going to help you make a good investment in this very volatile time. Or I'm going to help your business move operations from the U.S. to another country. Or I'm going to help you find a new manufacturer in a country where the tariffs are lower. Those are the types of ideas that are available right now. Hey, Felipe, welcome. It's good to see you again for the second time. Can you hear us? Okay.
His mic is off, at least. That's what I can see.
I think there's a problem with audio.
But move operations not from America. It's from China.
Well, it depends. Some people are playing it that way. Some people are playing it the opposite way, right? Like, for example, I've heard that Chinese companies are starting to, like you just said, they're starting to reposition their marketing efforts. They don't need the U.S., right? But people in the U.S., they need somewhere else.
Yes.
And there's no way that they're going to make, unless they feel like their consumers are willing to pay, maybe in some cases double the price. So how does AI fit into that? What do you think?
That's a very difficult question. I think, of course, if I would buy stocks, we just going around. Sorry. So how does AI fit into that? If I would buy stocks, I would invest some in AI startups because it's still all the hype and it's not going down. The hype is not going down. Nvidia plummeted. Is it bad? I don't think they will give up that easy. Again, no advice, but I would buy Nvidia. It's pretty blown up. Sorry for my grammar, I don't know, but I think it can go higher.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're still in the early days, and it would be interesting to invest in some new startups. Probably, I would advise you to invest in startups that you know where it could really help people. Like, see if you can find some products that are going public that are like related to a niche that you are interested in, and then like you've already used their first generation product or second generation product, and now they've already had a public offering and they're new on the market, and you believe in their product, and you can see that it's already innovative, and then it's going to keep getting better, right? There's tons of AI platforms like that.
Yeah, all the wrappers, I think it's a good investment for now. If you are in that niche, all the wrappers. What was this one that grew faster than OpenAI, and it was just a wrapper?
When you say wrapper, what do you mean, Orest? Define a wrapper?
For example, I like to use Koe. There is one YouTuber called Dan Koe. So he made Cortex, which is basically Notion, that is more flexible, more fun to use. There is an option to use multiple different LLMs to analyze your text, to talk to your text, and it's very, very flexible, very convenient to use. I'm not affiliate. It's just really nice. And yeah, I'm thinking to switch from OpenAI to Cortex subscription because they provide ChatGPT in their wrapper. So I really think, and they have Claude, they have Gemini, everything. So you can jump between different requirements in terms of your research or your text based on, do you want to analyze? You go ChatGPT 01. Then you want to make it pretty, you go to Claude and you make it in your style. You have giant text, you go to Gemini and you just dump whole text and it will analyze and keep it in their memory.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's very, very cool.
Yeah, and I really haven't had a lot of time to play around with the different AIs. What would you say to me?
You're supposed to do that, not me. I have a team. And I don't need to rely on AI. I actually, so based on our rules, I supposed to only check my grammar on
There's
AI.
no rules. Don't worry. You can do whatever you want. No, the reason I'm saying that is because, I do believe that when you input a lot of data into one model, by the way, LLM stands for Large Language Model. And very interestingly, today on a sidecar, one of the LLMs passed the Turing test, or whatever they call it. I forgot. Turing? Anyway, which means that it's like basically like intelligence.
Feels like intelligence, not it feels like intelligent. But
no, of
yeah,
course,
it's
not actual intelligence. It's cool. And now you can talk to these LLMs with like Sora and stuff like that. So pretty cool.
That's basically my morning. I wake up, I do my spiritual stuff and reading, and then to collect my thoughts together, I talk to my ChatGPT, and my prompt is to be mean and sarcastic towards me and to remind me that I need to be humble and I cannot do everything that I'm planned on a day. And he is like, or she, it's a female voice, but it's ChatGPT. It sounds like a guy. I mean,
Valerie, are you listening?
No, she's not. She's in a different room. And Valerie is also, we have same ChatGPT, we have same account. She's also talking to her then. I know. Anyways, it helps me to get my thoughts together, and then I just do my notes while I'm talking to her.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, hey, when you need somebody to bounce ideas off of, now you don't have to annoy your friends. But speaking of that, so would you recommend that somebody, because I think that when you input a lot of data into one, then it really starts to build like an entire persona and library about you. What do you think?
Yes, I recommend to buy ChatGPT and to make him store all the information about you. And it's very seamless, and it helps you not to keep in mind a lot of things when you prompt.
Yeah, I agree.
Saves a lot of time.
So over time, you don't have to rewrite context like you would on a Google search, for example.
Yes, it's not indefinite, but your life also is changing all the time. So I actually delete some statements that he remembered. I update. Like, for example, I'm not working for the podcast studio anymore. So I remove this. So he forgot, so he doesn't bounces his answer from that idea.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so hopefully you've gotten a little bit of information about maybe how you can invest in AI, whether that be through monetary investment, buying stocks in AI startups, investing in companies that are manufacturing AI hardware like NVIDIA, or just investing in using the tools and putting time aside to actually get them to know who you are. So did you want to add something?
I just really like to go back to this idea about acquiring power instead of acquiring cash.
Okay,
Because
go ahead, yes.
it's just in this time, nothing is certain and you can lose everything. And like in my short life, me and my family, since I'm in Ukraine, and I lived most of my adult life in China, and then they kicked me out and my company disappeared and I need to reinvest a lot of money. So I lost and my family lost a lot of money multiple times. Like we were just basically...
I'm so sorry.
Like when the war in Ukraine started 12 years ago, we had businesses, we had real estate, and it's all gone. Or it just lost 95% of price. But if you have ability to make money, if you have a knowledge, you have know-how, you have resilience, you have connections, and you have audience, I think it's important. You can be very adjustable and flexible and have a lot of good power, you know? So you can always make money.
So you're talking again about leverage, right? You always want to try to find intellectual leverage.
Intangible leverage, yes.
Very cool. So yeah, I agree with that. And especially one thing is that you should know about economics if you're not really well educated in economics. When we're young, we have a long span of health ahead of us that we can use to work hard. So that's when you should take the most amount of risk is as soon as you have the ability to earlier on in life. And this is something that I've actually recently learned, and I wish I'd taken more risks earlier, because there are people who are 22 that I know that are making, 10 times as much as I am. And really what it comes down to is that they just risked more money sooner. And so if you do that, maybe you'll lose everything. Unfortunately for Oris, I'm so sorry. The war really sucks, no matter where it is, but especially for you. And my heart goes out to you and your family. But the concept of being able to make money later is true. So keep that in mind. If you're watching and you're 20, 30, now's the time to spend money, learn as much as you can, invest as much as you can, try your ideas, go hard, and then later, when you're looking at retiring within 15 years, maybe that's when you can be more conservative.
Do you want to hear another very sad story real quick? That's when I actually lost everything.
Go ahead.
I made...
Make us cry.
Yeah, my first big graphic design and UI UX design project was I was creating brand and interface for one of first crypto wallets ever. And these guys paid me around 2 Bitcoins, and it was when it was around $200. And I was like, whoa, that's a lot of money. And then it started to lose the price. Bitcoin got very cheap. And I'm like, oh no, I need to save. This Bitcoin is sketchy. So I sold it all. But now I would have a lot of money. So don't store cash. Invest in... And then my Bitcoin guru, he's like, dude, buy CryptoPunks. You're like artist, maybe you know what is going on. I opened the page, and this one CryptoPunk is like $7,000, and it's half of my Bitcoin. I mean, it's half of my savings in Bitcoin. I'm like, that's too risky for me. I'm not doing it.
It's okay. Hindsight's 2020. If you would have bought it, it would have failed. It's the butterfly effect.
I would facepalm myself. I just wear glasses. I don't want to make them dirty.
No, I mean it's okay. One thing I really like that Alex Hormozy said recently was that as time goes on, we just keep getting new lottery tickets. So there will be more opportunities. So moving on, we've talked a little bit about the stock market. We're going to talk more about what's really happening with the Trump thing and all of that goodness of the tariffs later on at the end of this episode. But we've already talked a bit about the market, some tools you can use, maybe invest in AI, and what you can do to get involved with it. Let's move on to productivity and real business building. So what are some daily systems that you use? And then I'll jump on top of you. What motivates you?
I just created... I'm polishing it down, but I created a formula which basically helps me to understand how to concentrate on what is important. So it's basically, I take into account time, amount per hour, like how much I make per hour doing this job.
Mm-hmm.
What is the success rate? Approximate. And what is intellectual drownage? How to call this? How much intellectual power I lose doing this job? So basically, if it's a lot of hours, a lot of dollars per hour, success rate is high. And for me, it's not that exhausting for my brain. I do it myself. If it's still pretty much a lot of money per hours, but chances are low for success, and it's very difficult for me, not for anyone. I delegate this to part of one of my team members. And when you don't make a lot of money, or chances are very, very low, I just skip that. And so that's how I calculate what to concentrate every morning. That's my analysis.
It's very nice. And it seems like a sensible thing to do. Seems like it's something you can do in your head.
I cannot say yes. I write it down. Maybe someone can do that. But I just like to calculate success rate, 70%, $50 per hour. Like, let's say 5 out of 10 difficulty for my brain. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. That's a great tool. And to be completely transparent, I have a long way to go to organizing my days. Typically, I like to take 3 things at a time and just kind of rotate them around based on how long I can hold my attention on them. And I do have some long-term strategic planning sessions that I do every week. But other than that, I usually just rotate like a turret the 3 things that are most important, because I like to keep things simple.
Can I ask, if you switch to different tasks, is it easy for you, or you get more tired?
I don't. I mean, it's very mentally tasking to switch tasks. So I will try to focus as long as I can on one task and just force myself to keep pushing through. But I'll usually have my brain will get tired of thinking of a certain type of task. So I usually group 3 different types of tasks. It's usually a research task, a creative task, and then some to-do list tasks that are fast. So one's like a sprint. So it's like a period in my day when I'm knocking out really small tasks. And then there's a period in my day where I'm building one thing very nice. And then there's a third period, usually in the evening, where I'll just read a lot of material and maybe take some quizzes. And those are the classes that I'm taking. So, I mean, I love them. I love learning about new concepts, because it's if you went to school 10 years ago, you don't know now what they're teaching. So it's I kind of always want to be in a class. It's cool. And it's also,
That's nice
it feels
system.
like a safer source of information, because a lot of the crap that I've seen on social media is it's usually either an expert that has nothing to do with the field that they're talking about, or it's information that's based on paranoia or superstition or pseudoscience or something like that. So.
And some dude that is trying to pitch you successful success.
Yeah.
We call it in Russian successful success. They rent a car, they show that they are very successful, and you believe them, and then you buy their courses, and now they actually have the car. Yeah. Self-fulfilled prophecy.
It's silly, and just so you know, there's a lot of free stuff out there, or very low cost, like Coursera. There's LinkedIn Learning. I think some of the course platforms, I haven't checked them out, but they're probably pretty good. What is it called?
Domestika?
Yeah, stuff like that. Domestika, and then there's one called...
It's for writers, mostly. It's black, dark, this brand.
Yeah. Anyway, all those seem to be pretty legit. But when you're taking a course from a person, they really should be giving a lot of value up front. So you can test out their free thing and then make sure that it's really impactful. And then, they'll probably have some even better stuff that they're going to sell you.
Yeah.
But most of the stuff, it's people have taken one of those courses on LinkedIn, or they've taken one of those courses on Coursera, and then they're just repeating it in their own course and charging you triple.
Which is it bad? What I'm doing on Twitter right now is I challenged my tiny audience of 160 people to keep attention if I post my selfie in the gym, face scan that has a date and time. If I post every day, it's okay. If I skip, person that is first noticing this, I will send him $30 on PayPal. So I make myself accountable. So that's how I cheat my lack of motivation. I'm just afraid of losing money.
You've been going around trying to push people into these types of deals where you make them agree.
I did this already for 3 months, and it was successful. I had almost 90 selfies in my phone. Yeah. I still have them.
I remember when I first met you, you came up to me and you asked me to be accountable for you for something, and then you found another one of our friends, and then he actually agreed to do it, and then he was sending you like naked photos of you working out. No, I'm just kidding. He was just shirtless, but it was hilarious. And then we even talked about it. Like, is he faking it? Is this the same photo every time? And then he was suspicious that you were scamming him. But anyway, good job. I'm happy that the internet is now able to, again, you found a way to not bother your friends. Thank you. But okay, anyway, so yeah, this brings up an important point. So this is something that I learned from TED Talk. And that's why I really want to do this, to be honest, Oris, is like this whole Momentum Global Leaders thing is like about just sharing information for free. And then
because no one will do it anyways.
Yeah,
you
no one
will
will do it
not
anyways.
do what we say here. I bet you, like it's like 99.9% of people will just listen, nod, and successfully ignore.
I agree. And then for the 10% that does get past that and tries it themselves, they will fail. And if you're the 1% that actually keeps going even after all your failures and pushing yourself without us, I'm so like, you're better than me. But if you're the 9% of that 10% that gave up when they tried to do the hard stuff after a week, then you can call us or you can email us and contact Momentum Global Leaders, and we'll do the strategy for you. And that's how we're going to make money with this machine, is basically just by doing unpleasant strategies for people who don't want to go through the pain. So hire us to be your business personal trainers. But anyway.
Because we love pain.
Actually, I do love pain. Ever since I got rid of the alcohol and I stopped smoking weed, I need a new drug.
Pain every day.
And so the new drug that I'm on right now is called working out for 16 minutes a day, high intensity workout, which gives me a lot of pain, and it releases a lot of good endorphins. And honestly, it changes my mood. Like if I do it in the morning and then I go to work, I feel really ready to push myself. What do you think? I mean, you're working out now, like you said. So
when I'm on my leg day, and I do last thing I do is like leg extension, something like that. I don't remember how to say this in English, but yeah. It's the most painful. It's the most painful exercise because I actually can target those quads, glutes. No, quads, I think. Anyways, so, and I'm like 65 kilos. Sorry, I'm very skinny. But I do 90 kilos of those extensions, which is pretty painful after the whole workout. And like half of the time, it's so painful, it just dumps this, like, what is the happiness hormone? Serotonin or whatever, that I laugh like crazy person. I close my mouth because people look at me like, what is going with this dude? So I do my leg extensions. Yes, I'm in pain. I climb from the machine and I just crack. I just crack out of happiness. I'm like, whoa, this is weird. But it just cleans your brain. You get smarter. It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree. And if you're trying to quit smoking, like I also once upon a time, way in the past, I used to smoke cigarettes. And, you get this head rush. You get the exact same head rush from eating like 4 Thai chilies in a meal. Seriously.
That's doable, but yeah, cool.
If you eat so much spice that like you're literally in pain from every bite, like you'll get this head rush that feels the exact same as taking a drag of a cigarette. So there you go, all you smokers out there.
But that's
yeah.
I never smoked, so I have no idea.
Well, now you know.
Okay, now I kind of, because I was like, yeah, dude, just quit smoking. What are you talking about? But I love chilies. I cannot stop eating them, and I have addiction. I have like 3 weeks I don't eat any spicy food because it's bad for my stomach, and I cannot hold myself anymore, and I need to go and eat that 3 chilies papaya salad that is basically like just red.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I feel better and worse at the same time.
Up in the north of Thailand, they eat like 10 chilies in one of those, papaya salads sometime.
Nice.
But anyway, moving on back to routines, and, I really actually need a lot of work. So maybe you can help me with that. I know you're a fan of the Eisenhower matrix, which is the important, not important, urgent, not urgent quadrants. What do you think? I mean, Eisenhower matrix is a great, actually, business matrix. If you're a CEO, that's something they use a lot. What do you think?
I made a notebook that every day it's including. It has so it's like double-sided notebook. So here we have brain dump and this matrix, and then conclusions, and then what can you be grateful before bed. So that's my system, and I'm trying to sell this notebook on Amazon, self-publish, whatever. So yeah, I love it, especially when I do the brain dump. I just write 3 pages. Don't read that. I mean, if your handwriting is bad don't bother if you cannot read it. Just dump 3 pages, and if you don't know what to write about, you say, oh, now I'm at the point that I don't know what to write about. I wonder how long will I not be able to think about what I need to write. And then when this is the time when your brain actually switches to good ideas, and then you keep writing again. So you have this threshold that your brain is like, oh, I'm tired, no, don't push me, and then it's flow. Anyway, so I write for 3 pages, and then I analyze this thing, and I put it into those 4 categories: urgent, not urgent, important, not important. And the difficult part is to be honest with yourself. What is actually urgent and what is actually important? Because you are such a liar to yourself. It's incredible. You're very sneaky when you talk to yourself,
and also when you talk to other people. I
mean, you know that. Yeah,
that brings me back to this thing. Okay, so there's a TED Talk out there, How to Speak So That People Want to Listen, by Julian Treasure. What an amazing last name. You're a treasure, Julian. So How to Speak So People Want to Listen. It's a great little TED Talk. It's like 5 minutes, and in it he puts this acronym up that's called HAIL, HAIL, and it's like honesty, authenticity. I forgot the I. Hold on, what's the I?
Dude. We are so well prepared. We just delivered.
It's
we deliver benefit.
Integrity. Okay, honesty, authenticity, integrity, and love.
Liability. Love, okay.
And what it is it's like, be clear, honest, be yourself, be authentic, be your word. Have integrity, like do what you're gonna do, what you say you're gonna do, and then love, wish people well, right? So it's a nice little thing, because it's like that's what all media should be, right? It should be real people documenting real things, telling the real truth, and that's what we're gonna do in this podcast. So yeah, I mean, I'm not very successful. This is the journey to go from being not very successful, because I'm 31, and I've got friends who are making $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $30,000 a month. And that has given me the belief that it's possible. And I know that both you and I have so much information that we've learned over the years. And that's our problem. We've just been absorbing, learning, educating. And we have so much utility. And now it's time for us to open up all these tools that we have and share them with people. And hopefully we can start making some money off of them.
And you know what makes me sad? That I actually just calculated that to my boss, not my boss, to my client. I mean, I can leave whenever I want. Just my main client. I helped him to make, like, maybe just with my efforts, around £80,000 more than he was usually making last month, like month before. And I didn't make. To be honest, this month I got close to $1,000, but it's from it's from 3 big jobs that will not be next month. I don't think I will get that lucky, because that was luck, honestly. But my point is that I actually took the responsibility. I helped him. I was successful. Now he has a lot of money, and he gave me 8% of that. I'm upset.
Oh, it's okay.
So it's time for us to use that knowledge for ourselves and to share with other people so they can do the same.
Yeah, and you can't go out and just start charging people that high amount of money. You need to get the belief. And like, I'm a firm believer in fake it till you make it and all that, but like, there's also tons of jobs that you can do for free, and then they will lead to new contracts. And that's something that Alex Hormozi talks about, is like, just, you don't have experience, you're going to suck, just go out there and do a job, do your best, and then once you start making enough value, then start asking them to pay you.
Can I add something to that? Don't do it for free, but swear that you give money back, no question asked.
Yeah, that's another good way to do it.
A little bit accounted for the money that they are willing to spend.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, because you don't want to get people used to taking advantage of you, because then it's a hard hole to climb out of.
Yes, it's very tricky. It's very fine line. But I noticed that when I do something new and I take risk, no, I don't take risk. I asked other people to take on risk. I usually say, okay, I'm trying this thing. If it will not work, I give you money back, no question asked. And usually people have different approach, because of course I'm saying that my name is more important than that you're like, if you ask your money back, I will give it to you because I want to save my name. And in this social media era, you cannot hide the news about you. They just spread real fast. So I would rather save my name and give you money back. But I want you to also be accountable because I spent my time, which I cannot get back anymore. It's gone forever and it's pretty valuable. So I would like at least to see that you are serious because I'm very serious. So you can go like that. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I like that. I don't like working for free at all. But I mean, I guess if you're really, really not confident, you can always go that free route. If you're really, really
Yes.
needing confidence. So it's talking about, starting new companies, building a company when nobody's your fan, you don't have a lot of followers. How do you handle that?
Bad, poorly. Yeah, I try to measure at least smallest successes, and that means I move forward. So that what gives me motivation because no one sees that. And I have employees and they lose their faith in me because time passes and we, for example, don't have sales. Means that I'm a bad leader. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say so.
No, for them.
Oh,
Because
I see.
they
Yeah.
just measure success. They no, like, honestly, I don't like that. I fired one girl. She's like, but I'm trying very hard. I'm like, sorry, I cannot pay you for trying hard. I need results because it's like that's how world works. And my employees expecting results from me because I promised them equity from my company. Well, yeah, they feel bad about your leadership and you feel bad about yourself. But when you measure small increments, small successes, you understand that there will be a time when those small steps will be enough for bigger result. It's better than just to quit.
Yeah, I agree. I think you need to give yourself 9 months, and you need to tell everybody on your team, in 9 months, our world will be changed if we all work very hard.
Or not.
Yeah, but I think being a good leader is always having faith and believing that it's possible and giving that belief to the people around you, even in the hardest storms. And that's what's really hard about being a leader is that you sometimes lose the belief yourself, but you've got to keep the status quo when you want to go to all your people and say, give me a hug. I'm just as afraid as you are. But you can't. So you have your wife and your friends.
Yeah. That's where hail. You just made a hail. You just how do you call this? Run the hail upon them. Yeah, that was authentic and honest.
Hail, yeah.
Honest,
The I.
authentic, integral, and with love. Yes, that was you made it.
Yeah, it sucks. Which is why I want to build a business with AI and not with employees. Because
Yeah, I
I
understand.
really do not like managing people. It is one of the largest burdens that there is. But, I think it's possible now, I hope that it's possible to do a startup with AI and then get it to a level where you can, then hand it off to real people. And then with freelancers, I know you've chosen to bring people on as, permanent, ongoing contracts. You could also just hire people when you need them, fire them off, Fiverr on, Fiverr off for things. But then you're managing all the little tasks and people don't have autonomy to work in their own way and build upon what they've built before. Maybe there's a hybrid there that we can explore, that you can explore. But obviously people need money for their lives, so that's complex. I think that as you've written to me and as we've learned, I think the biggest enemy are distractions. I really think that's what it is. I'm distracted all the time by buying things, online shopping, entertainment, anxiety, social media, my own desire to be out in the world instead of at home staring at a computer. I hate that. And then realizing that I'm starting Momentum Global Leaders. I've got a film company, Momentum Films. Those are kind of tied together. They work well because it's corporate films. And then I have ideas about getting on TikTok Shop. My wife, I want her to start a supplement business. I'm studying a new degree. My wife's in her degree. I also have some existing commitments, films I need to make or some clients that I tutor. So I'm doing too much, and I think most people are doing this. There's a guy here on the island called Mike Holp, and I just realized today, I'm Mike Holp has 7 Facebook pages. He's trying to do 3 businesses, his consulting to move abroad, his YouTube channel, and he's running some Facebook pages. Maybe it's about himself or about Thailand. So I think we really just need to choose one thing, and that would make it more likely to succeed. I think distractions are
Okay,
the
if you're
biggest
right,
enemy.
I need to fire everyone, keep doing my Twitter, and just live from money that my wife makes. and just go bread and rice, water and rice, because not that is pretty expensive here. If we are honest, yeah, that's the logical.
No, I mean, I think that yeah, I think social media in itself is a whole new business in a way.
Because when I spent 6 hours a day in my first 3 days on Twitter, no, 2 days. In 2 days, I gained 90. I had 30, and I got 120 followers in basically 2-something days. It's like in 15 hours basically of work.
And how did you do that? What was your exact process?
We don't have time. Let's move it. Sorry, but really, let's move it because you need to deliver a promise about Trump and your opinion about that, or not opinion, but like analysis. What is going on?
In the next podcast, you will reveal your social media secrets. Okay, all right.
Secrets and my fail, because I already failed, and I will talk about that as well.
Cool. So we already touched on authenticity and internet gurus. Let's move on to, so we kind of mixed up the order a little bit, forgive us. Let's now move on to global and cultural commentary. So now we have this big disaster, or maybe it's a salvation, and you've got to take this from, you're looking at the big picture of history timeline, because that's where we're at. And, countries rise and they fall. Economies do well, and then eventually whole cities and populations move or become irrelevant or mixed or whatever. So, right now in this little blip of time, what we're dealing with is we've got a president who really wants to shake things up in the U.S., and he's putting all these tariffs out there. And it's very interesting because there are so many people out there who are very against that because it's totally destroying the markets. As I said earlier, it's making all the businesses just bleed cash. It's making all of the governments very angry and upset with the U.S. It's disrupting. It's like cutting off. The whole world when it comes to business is like one country, really, or it has been, because there's been like very low cost trading. And now this is like literally if you cut a country like the U.S. or, if you cut the European Union in half and said, no, now there's a big wall and you have to pay a bunch of money to get your stuff across. It's hurting people. And so what it is, in my opinion, based on what I've researched, from the people's opinions that I've listened to, is we have a guy who's trying to change the economy drastically. And there's actually a precedent for this. In the 80s, hold on one second.
Are you talking about, what is his name? In 90s? Not 80s. Oh, in 80s. Yeah. The one that also started. No, stopped. What is his name? The president. He removed dollars. You need to know your presidents. He removed dollar from the gold. He disconnected dollar from the gold standard, or how to call this.
Yes.
Wow, we are such a good experts in economy. I have a bachelor in business management. I rock.
Okay, so it was...
Don't tell me, I want to recall, but we cannot do this because we're on a podcast. We cannot have this pause.
No, silence is fine. We can't be perfect. We've got to be authentic, Oris. You're making it... You're putting too much pressure on yourself to be perfect.
I want to recall his name. Give me first name. No, family name, sorry. Ronald. What is his family name?
Sounds like bacon.
Ronald Reagan. No, this is...
So Ronald Reagan...
Look, I'm red.
I'm going to read it. I'm just going to read this article. This is from The Guardian. This is an article that's entitled... Where's the title? Here's one key thing you should know about Trump's shock to the world economy. It could work, by The Guardian. And it was published on Monday, the 7th of April, 3 days ago. So, and I quote, in October 1979, Paul Volcker, newly appointed as the chair of the Federal Reserve, drove up interest rates to a remarkable 13% in a bid to tackle inflation, later raising them to 17%. Soon the U.S. was in a recession. Millions lost their jobs over the next 2 years, notably in manufacturing, where the soaring interest rates had driven up the value of the dollar, making U.S. exports less affordable on the world market. After light easing of interest rate held by the Fed, Volcker applied a second dose of the medicine, driving up interest rates to 19% and forcing the economy back into a double-dip recession. Unemployment peaked at around 10% in late 1982, but by mid-1983, inflation had come down to 2.5%. For the rest of the 1980s, the U.S. economy boomed. The Volcker shock appeared to have worked. So basically, there's a precedent that you can manipulate the market by doing very extreme changes to the rates, but in this case, it's extreme changes to tariffs, and those tariffs are taxes on goods that are being imported into the U.S. And it's interesting because there's even a YouTuber who recently made a video. Oh my goodness, my sources. I'm going to have like an iPad with sources on the side in the future. But the video is entitled, The Global Reset Just Started. And this is by Andre Jikh, Jikh. And you should watch this video because basically he just talks about a hopeful future where basically it's possible that Trump is using these tariffs to get back more money from the lost manufacturing that the U.S. is outsourcing to other countries. So basically, there's a little bit of an inequality where the U.S. has this thing called the trade deficit, which is like we export maybe 10 billion, these are random numbers, and then we import 48 billion from maybe China, something like that, dollars of value of goods. So it's basically like we're buying $38 billion more money value from China. So we're giving them $38 billion more than they're giving us for our exports. So it's like unequal, but Trump's using that as a justification for the tariffs, but it doesn't actually work out to be equal. It's like way more unfair in favor of the U.S. And it seems like these circumstances, these tariffs are being used to manipulate and destroy the economies so that there can be a lowering of interest rates, which will lead to a long-term growth of the economy maybe in the next 2 or 3 years or so. So it's an interesting idea, and I think that there could be a lot of truth to it because if you look at what's happening with why the explanation of that the Trump administration is giving for these crazy tariffs, they're kind of like dodging it. This is just like a small picture, right? We're talking about like, oh, let's fix the economy, make it better right now. So I want to take this idea one step further, and I want to say, I think it has to do with AI, because now we're at a point where AI has exceeded where we thought it would be. I think it's like grown and matured faster than we thought it would. And it's becoming an issue of national security for the U.S. because now there's not a race, there's not an arms race, there's not a nuclear race, there's not a moon race, there's an AI race. Elon Musk just admitted this when he was on some podcast and the podcaster asked, like, who's going to win the AI race? And Elon's like, well, the U.S. is going to advance the technology, but whoever controls the manufacturing of the AI chips is going to really win. And so I think the big long-term play is the U.S. realizes that they're going to lose the AI race unless they force the companies who are manufacturing and producing this technology to stop building it in China and to put it in manufacturing in a location that the U.S. has major control of or within U.S. itself. And that's going to be the long-term, because you think about it, if China's going to manufacture better, stronger, faster chips, they're going to hold that best technology to themselves for a while and take the advantage before they release the best of it to the rest of the world. And that's going to be a way that whatever country has that power is going to dominate in many ways, economically, maybe weapons.
Yeah, I love this prediction because it will be online, and what if it will be true? But I have another question / prediction. We move production to states, but I don't know what is the state of American workforce, like labor quality, because 50% of, wait a second, the generation that is after us. What is the generation?
Gen Z, right?
Gen Z. 50% of Gen Z, they admitted they would stay at home and live from parents' money because they are stressed with the work. And honestly, now the demand from the person to do actually a good work is so much lower than when I was in my gen. Like when I was 21 and I started to look for a job, requirements were very, very high. And now, I don't know, everyone is complaining that they cannot find a job, but I don't think it's true. I think they're just not educated and they just not capable.
Yeah, it's weird. In some twisted way, my prediction for that is that the older population who's not able to retire will end up doing a lot of the hard work. It's strange, but I think it's true because the rising cost of living, you've got people that don't have savings and they're having to work into their later years. And young people are better with technology, so they have an advantage to become more like bosses, more entrepreneurs.
Are
which
they?
we've seen.
No.
I hope.
I'm sorry, no. Let's compare Transformers and early Avengers to recent CGI heavy movies. Like CGI quality is just horrendous. It's like a joke. It's a level of my bachelor in 3D animation. I was one person with Maya and with my one core whatever box. That's bad. So I don't think young generation and vibe coding. What is this? What is
Well, maybe
vibe?
we can hope for the next generation after them to be more industrious, because people tend to be opposites.
I sound old, man.
No,
I just sounded
no,
so old. That was a long rant.
I agree with you. You're fine, Orest. You need to speak longer, actually. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know where the labor will come from, but who knows? Maybe like I said, it might not be manufactured in the U.S. Colombia is an amazing country right now with an only 10% tariff rate. If you're a U.S. company and you're looking for a place to manufacture,
Call Tommy.
look at Colombia. I mean, it's not very stable. The politics is terrible, but those low tariffs, man. I mean, yeah.
So I'm
Anyway.
thinking one more thing. Sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
3D printing is much more flexible in terms of moving different places, and you don't need mold and stuff. So what if future is behind, no, how do you call this? Future is in 3D printing because you don't need big facility. No, you need a big facility, but it can do anything you want. You don't need a mold. So I was thinking, what if this is a good way to invest a good market?
I think it's a good idea, but I think 3D printing could be restricted in terms of the light-duty products, consumer products, sure. But like heavy-duty industrial manufacturing, I think you need to stick with those.
So the company that I work with, they 3D print molds and they produce the detail, the part. So everything is included. So that's my point. You don't need to carve or like you can 3D print mold shape, yeah, and then matrix, what do you call this in English, and then use it to cast a part. So I think it's pretty cool. Anyways,
wow.
Yeah,
Hey, it could be good. Look into it. We'll talk about it more. So okay, well, thank you very much, Orest. I appreciate your time. Unfortunately, we didn't have Felipe on the podcast, but
yeah,
we'll have him next time, and then we will keep going and we'll do some more fun stuff. So thank you for joining me for test episode 2 of Momentum Global Leaders called MoGlo. Not because we glow more, but because we're Momentum Global. Okay, anyway. All right. See you later, Orest. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.